or what the clicking is.
Yeah, that was probably me for a minute.
Down.
I'm gonna just send it. Yeah, I did send it to that, but I'm gonna send it to just to you.
And who just called in?
This is Jennifer Hagee.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
And Hope, this is Andrew here. Sorry. Miranda, as far as emailing, is it emailing just to the NDDA and you, Miranda?
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
And so mine's town clerk. I can put it, I have the chat feature, so let me just.
Okay. That'd be helpful. Thank
I
you.
said ndda.ed@gmail.com, not the DDA@NederlandCo.org.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I get the right, have the right addresses. Okay. Got it.
Geez, you're gonna.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. And we had somebody else just call in. Who just called in?
Ron Mitchell.
Oh, did we lose you, Ron, in the first place?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome back.
Barb
Thank you.
Hart on.
I don't see her.
Was she going to be on the meeting or not?
I believe Bob Hart was. I didn't know she wasn't. I did know that Rhea is not going to be here.
Okay.
Okay.
I didn't hear definitely about Barb. Just heard through someone in town that she might not.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know. Well, I think that without Rhea or Barb, I believe that we have enough to call a quorum. Steve, Ron, Claudia, Brent, Andrew. And is Jonathan Baumhover there?
Yeah, I hear.
Great. So you want to go ahead and start the meeting, Steve, or do you need a minute?
Yeah. Yes, that sounds great. So let's call to order and call the meeting to order. And then Hope, if you could just take a roll call.
Sure. Steve Caro,
Here.
Ron Mitchell,
Here.
Claudia.
Here.
Oh, you ended up muted.
Oh, I'm here.
Sorry. Can you hear me now? I was up to Brent Tregaskis,
Here.
Andrew DeWart,
Here.
Jonathan Baumhover,
Here.
and Barb Hart. Okay, so I'm going to take Barb Hart out for the moment. And hopefully she'll be able to come back or hop on. And is Karen Garrity here? No. Okay.
No, she's here. She's just muted. Karen's
Oh,
here.
okay. I
Oh,
just
I'm
have her
sorry.
name.
I'm here.
I just have
Karen's
her name on.
here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, great. So our first item is a public comment. I'm not sure if we have anyone here for a public comment.
You have quite a few members of the public on.
Yeah, I'm seeing that. I mean, just people I don't recognize. So.
Well, that's exciting. Hopefully it's all good. Okay.
How would we know? Are Miranda are muted automatically?
No, they're not muted. So, I mean, I can unmute people. I don't know, like Mike and Mandy, if any of you or David want to give comment, I can unmute them.
Okay.
David, do you have anything to say?
Nothing here. I don't know if I'm muted or not.
I unmuted you, so, okay, I will mute you back.
Perfect.
Okay, I don't think so. And then Barb did join in case you didn't see that, I hope.
Oh, thank you.
Excellent. Okay. Excellent. Hello, Barb.
Well, great. Then we'll proceed with the consent agenda. Is there any discussion from our board members on the consent items?
I'd like to just make a quick comment. Jen put together an amazing financial packet for everyone. I mean, talk about transparency. It's really wonderful. So that is included in the warrants during this meeting, and she'll be providing me with a spreadsheet of this information. So thanks very much, Jen.
Yeah, thank you. Well, if there's no other discussion, Hope, could we take a vote on the consent agenda items?
Sure. We'll have Andrew DeWard,
Sorry, unmute myself here. Yes.
Bob Hart,
Yes.
Claudia Schaffler,
Yes.
Brent Chergaskis,
Sure.
Juan Mitchell,
Yes.
and Steve Caro.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, great. And Jonathan, does Jonathan normally vote on that as well?
I'm
Aye.
sorry, Jonathan. Jonathan, I was like looking right at your name. Jonathan Baumhover?
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry.
Okay, great. And I just wanted to mention real quick that we do have a packed agenda tonight. We had to push some things to next meeting, but we'll try to just move through as quickly as we can while still doing our job. But we're right on time so far. The first item up for discussion items is Mike Reichert to give us an update on the beautification project. So Mike, you're good to go if you're here.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to jump around the bulleted list a little bit, but communication with town has been really great. I think whoever's in this position needs a really good partnership with Nikki, and I feel like I've established that, which has made my life really easy. And that goes into kind of like the tools needed. Town has provided a good amount. Like anything I ask for, Nikki really is on board with and makes happen. If you're wanting a list of tools that are needed, I can definitely provide it. For example, if the person in this position, if you all are going to provide tools, like I've been using a lot of my own. Like I said, town has supplemented some, and then the DDA has some. So I could get a list of, a breakdown to Hope or provide it at the next meeting, whatever's easiest. Time allotment. In the summertime, I feel like this really could be a full-time position. This past week, I put in right at 21 hours. And there's still more that could be done. So that's just my 2 cents on time allotment. And then some of the cons, watering around town is a little tricky. The only official source is behind the town hall. So, it has to be, I drive it around town in buckets or I carry buckets, which is a challenge because the one pot at the corner of Big Springs by the Black Forest, it's out in the middle of nowhere. There's no water source nearby. So that's just a challenge. It takes a good amount of my time and it's pretty much every day because, it's the height of summer, so it's hot. However, it's been flipped into a pro because the town, again, is awesome and has offered up their golf cart. So we're going to use the golf cart to hopefully put a 55-gallon bucket or drum on the back and fill it once and then make one lap around town, and it should cut the time in half. So hopefully that maintains that great relationship. And then Hope and I had discussed this, using kind of delicate annual flowers might not be the best way to go on some of these things. The pansies and the geraniums are a little delicate. So if we maybe put native perennials in pots and beds, it might save time and money and just add to the aesthetics to have native plants here. And then I always like to add on a positive note, the pros, positive response from everyone I've encountered, all the business owners, Peter and Annie at Ned's, or at New Moon, sorry, Kara at Ned's, even town employees, Dan at the laundry room, John at Mountain Man, Doug at Brightwood, people I see early or around Wild Bear have just, had positive things, and community members. When I was planning the bridge, I've never received more positive comments in my life. It was awesome. And another pro, partnership with town and the ease of working with everyone has been great. Working with Hope has been really easy. And last thing I'll say is I really like the work. So if the opportunity existed next year and I was around, I'd jump at it at a heartbeat. And I think it'd be an easier, getting into a groove took some time too. So, that's just kind of my summary. Any questions?
Thank you, Mike.
Yeah, thanks, Mike, for all that. And it's great to hear that you're getting good feedback from businesses in town and everybody else. That's always wonderful. One thing I want to mention, in case, even with the golf cart, if you still need help over by the Black Forest pot, you can just check in with me and I can get you a handle for our faucet. They're locked outside, but I just have a handle or a key. So you'd be welcome to grab some water for that pot, just next door.
Yeah. The advantage I have is being an employee at the shopping plaza at Wild Bear. I use there's an outside faucet there. I've used the inside faucet. So that makes it a little easier.
Sure.
And Claudia's offered up, their tools on the property. So that's been really easy. So I really think just having already good relationships with everyone in town via my other job has made this really, really easy. And the fact that I live here, people are, they recognize me. So it just feels really good. If town ever needs stuff for volunteers to do, because I know Nikki's taking people out on trash runs, there's always stuff I could probably put on a list. Like I said, I feel like there is full-time work in the summer, if the budget allowed.
Okay. Well, great. Thanks, Mike, for that update. That's really helpful.
I'm so excited that he was able to get the golf cart, and Nikki is just really huge kudos to her too.
Yeah, for sure.
I would just offer, I have plenty of clean, potable 55-gallon drums that, were old agave nectar. So if there's some shortage of potable 55-gallon containers, please let me know.
Yeah, sure. We just got the approval of the golf cart I think I went on Thursday to look at it, but then they were closed on Friday because of the holiday. So we'll rig something up, but yeah, thank you. I might be reaching out to you.
Great. Well, thanks again. Just to keep it moving along, we'll go to our next discussion item is the public art with Mandy Vink.
Great. I just unmuted myself. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Fantastic. All right. Well, I believe Mark was able to give just a verbal update in June, and I'm happy to be with you all virtually here now. Over the month of June and into some of July, I've been doing an inventory assessment of kind of what the current experience in Nederland is and putting together art plans of comparable communities for comparison. So today, Hope, is it all right if I do a quick screen share?
Sure. I believe that Miranda is hosting, so she would be able to do that.
I'm going to stop sharing, Mandy, and so you should be able to, this it's like a box with an arrow up to share content. Yep, there you go.
Fantastic. All right. So we've got, today I wanted to present a draft update of the timeline for any questions or comments that might come up out of that. Again, the goal of this plan is to really be comprehensive, but also serve as a guidepost because it's really starting with a focus specifically on the DDA area. And much of the meat of this will continue to be informed by the town. I personally feel like this is a little bit of a fast timeline. And so that's why I wanted to say that, you know, this will be a guidepost with opportunity to continue to be an organic document with more input along the way. So additionally, as the world is quite different now from when I met with you all in person in the spring, I really want to acknowledge that, you know, I want to do my best to ensure that this plan doesn't feel like an outsider recommendation. I know, Mike, you really kind of made me envious there where you're like, yeah, I live here and the community knows me from just going around watering things. So I'm realizing that when I first had the chance to present to you, I was really excited about the opportunity to get more fully embedded, but then the pandemic struck. So it is different circumstances that we're working in. And so I want you to know that I'm still going to do my best to get engaged and call on you all to help with that engagement. So the first on how to get everybody involved, this is just a breakdown of kind of the components. Through the month of July and September is just a general survey. It's an overview. It has 4 components. First, the individual's involvement in Nederland. Then the second component is kind of generally types of arts and cultural experiences that the participant either enjoys or does not enjoy to help inform a baseline perspective. Naturally, with putting anything out into the public realm, there are folks who will like it and folks who won't, but asking personal opinions is going to be a way to kind of get that baseline perspective for the community. The third component of the survey would be specifically, what is your experience in and around Nederland? Do you have a favorite place? Do you have a favorite experience? What kind of artwork do you already see that you enjoy? And what do you do for the cultural offerings? And do you go out and beyond NED for those? And then finally, it's just a follow-up of what else do you want to share and how, to what degree do you want to stay involved and how would you like to participate? So that's kind of that ongoing big picture survey. I understand surveys can be a bit of a challenge because on the one hand, it's an opportunity for as many people who want to be involved in some capacity to share their voice, but also it's limited, especially in terms of true engagement and interaction. So with that, there will be additional kind of charrettes that I plan to host via a Zoom meeting that would be with a broader community committee. And the first would be a cultural assets exercise. So kind of to talk about concepts, big pictures, what defines NED as NED, and how to wrap our minds around that. And then the second would be a follow-up, which is a mapping asset exercise to see where do people go, where are the experiences, who would like to see what kind of experiences throughout town. In addition to those 2 specific meetings, there will also be ongoing meetings with you all, with ProSab. So I've reached out to Jess on that. And then the Board of Trustees, town staff, and cultural institutions. The goal is to get representatives from all of those entities involved in the community committee. As I'm really hoping to have the community committee be folks from Board of Trustees, ProSab, DDA, parks, library, school, artists, business owners, historical society, residents, the whole gamut. So then also having additional one-on-one meetings to kind of dig a little deeper. Then folks can also share stories via nedpublicart@gmail. I just started that email because I thought it was important for individuals to have something to reach out to, whether you have a question, a comment, anything along those lines, and then to rely on the agenda for your monthly meetings for any written updates, things along those lines, so that there is that call and response. And then the Public Art Committee, I know Rhea has already committed to that, and I know she's not on the call tonight, so I just wanted to circle back specifically to identify 2 participants from this board, to be kind of that more narrow focus, the funneling of information to come through from the community committee to understand, what's feasible, what budgets, what are realistic budgets, what makes sense for the business or for the Downtown Development Authority. So that is the overview. Now I'm going to go into details on timeline and then go from there. So again, mentioning earlier that this is relatively fast paced. I hope to be able to get just outlines submitted to you all in time for the next board meeting that you have in September. I don't intend to present then, but just have some written updates for you all, because especially I really want to focus on July through September for community engagement. Once the engagement is kind of wrapping up, that will be when the draft vision and goals are produced. And I know that as this is a plan for the DDA, it's really important that the goal of the art plan is in alignment with the vision and goals of the DDA. So I think that that's a great starting point. And then a draft plan in advance of the October meeting so that questions, comments can happen during that meeting, and then a final plan at the end of November. And so what does that mean in terms of engagement? Earlier mentioned reaching out to ProSab, and then for the rest of your meetings for September, October, November, written update for September, and then ideally, if I can be on the agenda for October and November, that would be fantastic. And then deliver the plan by November 25th. And then I do have the Board of Trustees agenda as an italicized question there because I don't know, I wanted to bounce it off of you all in terms of what's expectation on that. Is it good to get information to the Board of Trustees early, or is it something that we come with the NDDA plan at the end? And to what degree do we want to have that as a presentation? So that was a lot to throw at you very quickly. Does anybody have questions?
I don't.
I do not either. This is great.
No, I don't. It's great.
Okay. Yeah, and then the final piece of this document, it just kind of visually outlines the different expectations of the Public Art Committee versus the Community Committee, and then just calling on you all to help spread the word, again, because it is such a different time, and so meeting virtually is very different than meeting in person. So that's that, but I will be sending out some emails soon and hoping that you all can help distribute the opportunities for engagement. So.
Thanks, Mandy. I just sent you the list or the yeah, the spreadsheet of the community members who reached out. There's about 31 of them. And the bar column, the E column are basically the emails that they sent expressing what they're interested in and why.
Fantastic. Thank you, Hope.
Welcome, Mandy. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mandy, this is Karen Garrity, Town Administrator. I just wanted, hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, this looks great. I just wanted to let you know that we're also going to be doing envisioning for 2030, which the Board of Trustees and the town staff are facilitating. So I don't know if there's a way to interface maybe with your Public Art Committee to make sure that they're also participating. Right now, there's an online survey that you can find through the town's website. But I just think there might be some really neat opportunities for some interfacing while the two kind of planning things are unfolding, you know. So anyways, I just wanted to mention that in case you weren't aware.
Fantastic, I appreciate that.
Sure.
Okay, Mandy, was there anything else in your presentation?
No, there was, so I did attach a draft document of so this Public Art Committee questions, that's for when the Public Art Committee comes together, but it's really understanding kind of that deeper dive. And then I believe the AIM Public Art Plan is actually an action item that you all have, is that correct?
Let's see. I don't see it on as an action item.
No, I could have posed a question. Let me see.
The question before the board is, do you agree with the schedule and timeline for engagement and plan development? I don't know if you can still see my screen.
Yeah.
Hold it up.
Yes, I see that.
And then it would be, I guess the next step would also be finding out if anyone on the DDA board is interested in joining this Public Art Committee to work with Mandy. Aside from Rhea, so it would be two other people.
Well, wouldn't it be one other so we don't have the sunshine issues?
Oh, right. Yes, you're right.
I feel like I'm got my plate full with parking right now, so it wouldn't be me.
Is anybody else on the call? Any board members that would be interested? Well, I think we could.
We could also see if maybe Jess Ansari or someone from another board would be interested.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I think that's something that we can decide relatively soon and get back to Mandy about that.
Okay, Barb Hart just mentioned that she might be able to, she's interested. She just has a busy week coming up, so she wouldn't be able to do anything for about a week or so. So great. Thank you, Mandy.
Yeah, thanks, Mandy. And
yeah, thank you all.
Get back with that. Let's see, the next item is the Envision 2020 discussion item. Miranda.
Yes, I can be brief here. So in your packet, and Hope it also emailed you all, we are embarking on the Envision 2030. The first step is just for us to establish a baseline by asking some SWOT, what's called SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So what we're looking for is responses from you specific to the DDA. And I'm not looking to have a conversation about this tonight. What I'm asking is that you email me the answers to these questions by Friday, July 25th. And then the plan is in August, I've asked Hope and Steve to add me to the agenda so we can actually talk. I'll take your consolidated answers and we can talk through those even more. So really, is there any questions about that, what I'm asking of you?
How long does it take?
It's quick. Depends on how much information you want to give, Brent. But you can be quick. A lot of people have done just like a quick one-liner. Some people haven't even answered the questions at all. They just have typed to me their statements and I can kind of figure out where to fit it into the analysis. But I anticipate it should take no more than like 10, 15 minutes.
Okay, no problem.
But please don't, for your DDA answers, don't do it on the website. So while there is a community survey on the website, it's anonymous. So there would be no way for me to know that it came from you. For this specific action, we're asking you to answer in terms of the DDA and then email those to me.
Okay. Well, great. I think we can all do that.
Did that email come from Hope? Just remind me, I can't remember.
Yeah, Hope sent an email, but I'm going to send a follow-up email this evening after we're done. So you can just respond back to that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Yes.
Thanks, Miranda.
Can you see the agenda again, Steve? I'm not sure when I flip screens.
I'm looking at my own agenda, so I'm not sure.
Yes.
But,
Okay.
Yes,
see it.
yes.
Great.
Yeah, I do see it there. Okay. The next update is the committee resolution. And this is based on what we saw last. Sorry, let me just get there, back over there. Yeah, from our last meeting, talking about committees and how they should operate and how we should guide them. And essentially the question before the board here is, if you review all the information that Hope had sent out for this aim, how would we like to proceed to try to give more direction to, basically would we like Hope to put together guidelines drawn from these materials that she's presented here, or would we be interested in creating a resolution for each current and future committee in regard to the goals and responsibilities and powers and timeline? So it's really just a kind of trying to formalize what we discussed last month as far as how committees should operate and whether we want to have a resolution to, guide us in that. So I'm not sure if everybody wants to chime in on this, or if maybe if just whoever would like to, we could try to do that to save some time.
I think clear guidelines about a committee is appropriate. And haven't, read the draft committee resolution template in detail just yet, but certainly think that, as it relates to a committee having a certain task and being turned loose to go do that task, it should align itself with, the DDA's vision. It's my opinion.
Okay, sounds good. Anybody else have something to add to this?
If I may ask, do we want to, I hate to say this, but do we want to have a small committee to put together a resolution to bring it back at the next meeting to present to the board? I think it should be board members rather than Hope doing it, in other words.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Sure, if we have anybody interested in working on that. One question I had, Hope, was with the resolution, would it be one resolution, do you see, that would guide us for all the committees, or would we create different resolutions for each committee as we set them up? What was that idea?
What I'm perceiving is there'd be the general guidelines as the ones that are presented here, and any additions that people might suggest or edits. And then each committee would technically have a resolution as to their goals, responsibilities, timelines, and et cetera. So that's from reading it, that's what my understanding is. Because I think each project and each committee has different agendas. And I think that in looking at what a corporate board does, they distinguish between committees as one being long-term, like say beautification, and then one being short-term, like parking on Big Springs specifically, not necessarily, but parking in general could be a long-term one.
Okay. Do we have any board members that would be interested in being on a committee to draft up resolutions and bring it back to the board for next meeting?
I'd be happy to.
Okay. Yeah. Is there anybody else that could join Claudia?
I can jump in there with Claudia, Steve. It's Jonathan.
Oh, Jonathan. Okay. Well, that'll be awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you both. That'll be great. And then, yeah, I think you can take this stuff and do a little more research and come back with the board for something we could vote on at the next meeting.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thanks for that. Let's see, the next discussion item is the banner for town. And that's Claudia to talk about this one.
So I can make it pretty quick. It's been suggested to me that the DDA work on putting up a banner or banners to all the entries into town that are very basic, just say something to the effect of Nederland is open. And I'm totally paraphrasing, this isn't what it would say, but Nederland is open. We require masks for all our safety or something to that effect. In other words, the businesses are trying to get our support, and hopefully it won't, of course, totally minimize the impact when people come in and they're told they have to wear a mask. It has been a great joint effort with all the businesses doing the same thing. So that's really kudos to Ned for pulling that off. But I think, and the other businesses think it might be helpful if we give people fair warning, do it in not in a punitive way, but in a friendly way that we're here, we're glad you're here, please wear a mask. Something as simple as that. I have got a couple of ideas on the cost of banners, and they're not cheap. I talked to, or Miranda sent me the form we'd have to fill out to get it approved to put a banner up on the at the top of the canyon, and I'm assuming that's where the seniors sign is now. But whatever it would be, we would obviously go through the proper channels. For the other entries into town, I honestly don't know what we could do. I would love to, if CDOT would let us, do the kind of the Burma shaped signs. If anybody remembers those, where you have small signs on the highway, and they're not very expensive. Small signs on the highway that as you drive by, they continue the message and gets the point across. And those could be kind of fun. Again, I don't know if CDOT would approve that. I don't have any specific ideas. I was hoping maybe somebody would want to work on that with me in the next week or so, because I'm not a design person, and work with Chelsea at the Business Connection and see what we could put together. I would love to be able to find out what the board wants, if they're even interested in doing this at this meeting, so we don't have to go back and forth with, I don't like that color, or that font doesn't work for me, and just let a couple of us make this happen. I'm projecting that it would cost around, and this is just from what I've looked at, it depends on what we end up doing, about $900 to $1,000. If it doesn't cost that much, great, then we just don't use it.
Well, and Claudia, would that $1,000 be per banner, or do you think for 3 or 2 or?
No, I'm hoping that would cover whatever we decide to do as far as if we can put things up on the other 2 entrances into town. There's nothing there that's stationary that I'm aware of that we could use. So we'd have to get a little more creative on that. And I was actually thinking of those flag signs like Dan uses for the Mexican restaurant. If that would be approved, again, I don't know. I do know people put banners up at the top of the canyon. So if that's all we did, it would be way less than $1,000. But if we do individual signs like the Burma shaped signs used to be, those are about $8 a piece. you probably want to do a couple of sets of those because I'm sure some of them will get lifted, but if we're even allowed to do that.
Right.
Claudia, can I just ask a question real quick? So I heard you mention, we're open for business and, we're wearing masks, right? Is that what did I hear you correctly on the front
General
end of
idea
that?
is to let people know we're open to please come visit us, but we require masks. And obviously the wording would be better than that. But
Right,
that's
so
the objective.
just a suggestion on semantics and wording, maybe, we're not right, we're not left, we're up the hill, and we wear masks or something, because we can just kind of sidestep the whole political issue and make it an elevation issue, fact-based. That's just a thought.
Well,
No, I
also,
love all that.
go
I'm
ahead,
sorry.
Claudia. No, go ahead.
No, all I'm looking for, it's got to be quick and dirty. It's got to get the point across. It needs to be friendly and non-political, but it's got to be quick and dirty. We can't have too much wording in it or we lose the, we lose the impact. And we can even do some coming into town on Stevens' property. I had no problem there by the carousel asking him if we could put something like that up. If you've been to 29th Street Mall, they've got small signs up there that say, welcome back to healthcare workers and grocery store workers. I mean, there's people doing it all over town and they're keeping it apolitical.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I think also, it's really required, within Boulder County and by public order. So, something as simple as welcome to Nederland, masks required, 2 lines could get the point across. And I think it's a good idea because then the business owners don't have to argue so much with the people because they've already, potentially seen that sign as they're entering town. But I mean, it is basically the law.
Oh, absolutely. And our businesses are doing a great job just trying to alleviate a little bit of the stress if possible.
Yeah, for sure.
So Claudia, this is Brent. I would say 2 things. Yeah, I would be willing to work with you a little bit on coming up with defining some wording quickly. And then I don't think this is going to live forever. So, I mean, the signs, we could probably put one on the Eldora property coming in from the south there.
That'd be great.
The Ned House where the big sign is. It's just an Eldora with an arrow sign up now.
Right.
And that's a permanent sign that wouldn't require anything from CDOT on the right-of-way issue, and is fairly visible on that side of town. So that might be an easy thing I could offer up on our property that's in the DDA district.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, totally.
I think I could offer the same thing with the U-Bahn sign, because it's almost unreadable now anyway. This is Ron Mitchell speaking.
Thank you, Ron.
Thanks, Ron.
Yeah.
I also have some wording for you. Net is open at last. You're welcome. Net is open at last. You're welcome to have a blast, but do remember to wear your mask.
That's
like
it.
That's amazing. That's amazing. On where you're talking about, where it'd be a little bit slower, that would be good because people would have time to read it.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be
amazing.
Science.
Yeah.
Okay, well, with the board's permission, I'll get together. We'll form a small mini committee. Well, it wouldn't be a mini committee, but we can meet and come up with something, and then ideally go ahead and put the order in so we can get these up and not have to wait till July. And send me your ideas again, if that's okay with the board.
Sure.
So
go ahead.
This hasn't been budgeted yet, so I guess this is a question to town or even our town accountant. Can this come out of another budget, or do we need to request this from our funds?
Well, you guys would have to decide if your operating budget can handle it. But if your operating budget can't, I do know you have some money in there for, I can't remember if it's marketing or something. But if you wanted to pull it out of the TIF funds, then you would have to bring it to the Board of Trustees.
Okay. And that just comes to another point that's happening, and that's with our TIF funding is actually lowering because of, we're seeing the effects of COVID, but that's happening. I'll discuss that later. It looks like we have some money maybe in office supplies. I guess we'll have to figure that out.
Could you get reimbursed for this through the CARES money?
I hope so. That'd be great, but then that would then be coming from our, TIF funding, right? I guess it doesn't matter where it comes from, but yeah.
I see what you're saying. If you were to borrow it from your operating, and then you would get reimbursed, that would probably be the simplest way to do it. But I guess you'd really want to know that you would be able to be reimbursed from CARES. And I do believe that you can use the CARES funding for signage. I'm positive. Miranda, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just got an email that they're reviewing it now. So, but they said that there's no guarantee on when they're going to get back to us about whether it was accepted or not.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention that I believe in our budget this year, we did have some money in marketing that we haven't really used. So I think that we probably take it out of some other item that was already approved on the budget.
Yeah, it looks like we have advertising, $1,000 in advertising, and then print and copying, $100. So I can chat with Jen about that. That sounds great.
Okay.
Karen or Miranda, briefly, can you tell me, can we put those little like political size signs up or not?
Can you put what?
Small like political signs up. Can we put them like along Tebow's property, or could we put them coming into town? Or is that a CDOT issue?
They're not, but you're saying just using the political-esque signs, right? Not political signs themselves.
Correct.
Yeah. So those would be allowed. It's not, then it's a little bit different than a banner permit. So Claudia, you and I would just work through the proper forms for that. But they are, it's considered kind of like it falls in the sandwich board column, which is allowed.
Right. Okay. Are you guys interested in me pursuing that along with these other ideas?
Yes.
I am.
Sure.
Yeah. I think it's a good thing.
I think they'd be great in front of the carousel going down that strip that Tebow owns.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, good. Now, officially, what do we need to do in order to put this in motion? Is it a vote from the board, a nod of 4 to proceed?
I would probably take a vote just because it has to do with money and there's not necessarily a budget presented. But I think that since we can likely take it from our operational funds, I just think maybe a vote would be a benefit. We might have to move it to an action item and then take a vote on it.
If you've already budgeted for it and the budget was approved and you're using the $1,000 from a fund that has $1,000 in it for advertising, you probably don't have to do that. I understand though where you're coming from, to have something in the minutes, but I'm just letting you know, since the budget's been approved and this is advertising, you don't necessarily have to do that.
Thanks, Karen.
And just one more question about it is, what happens if we approve the $1,000 for it and then next week or 2 weeks, if we find out that for doing what we'd like to do would be $1,500? What happens at that point? Do we just have the 1,000 to work with?
Yeah, because that's basically what's in our operational budget for it, as far as advertising, if we're taking it from there.
Can I just jump in real quick and say, I wonder if, we reached out and granted, I know businesses need all the help they can get, but if there were, kind of tiered sponsors where logos were on this sign as well. So, Netherlands Open for Business, Ron's nice rhyme, and then around that rhyme, our logos of various businesses, whether it's, and the size of the logo, I'm committing to the donation or the cost of these banners. I don't know. That's just another thought.
Okay. Sure.
I probably would prefer just to do a global message that's good for all businesses and pay a little bit of money rather than try to treat different businesses differently. That's my opinion on a thing like that, rather than cluttering up a sign with logos from, businesses that can afford it, not from businesses that can't.
Oh.
Yeah, I understand.
Keep it simple is my motto on this.
Yeah,
I love Ron's
for sure.
time. I think that could work. So.
Well, one suggestion I have is that you go ahead and operate as if it's going to be $1,000. If it ends up being more, why don't you work with town, and we'll see if we can come up to like the extra 250 or 300 or whatever, and make it whole.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Well, sounds good. So should we make a motion to move this to an action item for a vote?
Like Karen said, we just don't have to because it's already been in the budget. It's already in the budget, so we can just do a nod that.
That's a good idea. We will sometimes just do a nod of 4, that you approve the expenditure.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want to ask that?
Yeah. Is there a nod of 4 approving this expenditure?
Yes.
So nod.
Yeah, I'm nodding.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Nodding.
Thank you.
Nods aplenty.
Yeah. As long as we don't nod off. As long as we don't nod off. All right. Well, now we're on to action items. I just wanted to say for the board appointment, Miranda's going to run this. And sorry, Miranda, I didn't get with you beforehand, but I think it would be nice if we could go around and ask questions of the Dr. Beetham, if possible. And I just wanted to mention that Karina did answer a bunch of questions for us at the last meeting, and she wasn't aware that we were going to be asking more questions tonight. So she wasn't available for coming to the meeting. But I thought if we could think back to what her answers were to some of our questions, that would be helpful. And then we could ask Dr. Beetham some new questions tonight. But
Yes,
go ahead, Miranda, with that.
I agree. I guess you've kind of introduced it, but obviously Mark Stringfellow, his seat became available, so we posted this. As of last meeting, they were due, the first round of applications were due the date of your June meeting. So you all had decided that you wanted to extend it. So the deadline for applications was July 1st, and then you received an additional application. So Ron, I'll just turn it over to you if you want to give a little introduction about yourself, and then the questions can be asked.
Okay. Can you guys hear me at all? Can you see me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So
Yes.
I'll try not to take too much of your time. I'll try and talk fast, and I usually do. Basically, I'm just a transplanted local. I mean, originally I went to school here at CU as an undergrad, moved to Rollinsville in the early 80s, built a house there, blah, blah, blah. It's just this wonderful building of the house. Then kind of went back down to CU, went to medical school at CU, then, down in Denver. And then I went to residency there for another 3 years. Then I said, screw this politics, because I'm kind of left of left. And so I ended up on an Indian reservation, working for the Navajos. And then I worked for the Zunais. And after that, then I moved to Oklahoma, and I was as an OB-GYN doc there for a year. And, just like the point is that I'm kind of, there's more to life than just Colorado. And then after that, I got tired of the whole American politics thing, moved to Paris, studied the Sorbonne for a year, and then hooked up with this weird group called Médecins Sans Frontières, because at that time, there wasn't a Doctors Without Borders. They didn't exist in the US. Then went to Africa. I was a head of a refugee camp there for 17,000. So there are 17,000 Black refugees from from Mozambique and Malawi who were like, going to Zambia. And somehow there were 3 white kids, and I was one of those. And so did that for a while. And then finally I came back to the US, said I can't handle all this right-wing political garbage, and moved back to Germany and lived in Germany for a while. And, during the, the decrease or kind of the throwing down of the Berlin Wall, finally came back to Boulder. And I was co-head of the Boulder Medical Center Urgent Care Department for way too long. Actually, I say way too long. It was a beautiful job. And then decided that I want to do something else. So now I have a little farm in, east of town. But, I'm too old for this stuff. I mean, I'm almost 29 years old now, and I need to move on. And a couple years ago, ended up like buying the old feed store from Rich Kustron and Donna Fitzpatrick and saying, oh yeah, I want to sell, like puppy food. And, then they moved away and that was it. So anyway, so that's who I am, or who I was, or whatever. But the deal is that I'm too old to be a farmer, and I can see the writing on the wall, and I'm here for another 3, maybe 4 years. But after that, I need to, like move west, and I can't handle the heat anymore. You guys realize it's going to be 97 tomorrow? 97. Anyway, so the deal is there's a lot of things about Ned that I'm just totally in love with. I've been doing their running trails for years. I frequently get kicked off the ski area for like trespassing because I'm running on the road, which supposedly is owned by, the National Forest Service. But anyway, and I, done all the bike trails there. And so I'm like a hidden local. But anyway, what I'm really interested with his job, quite honestly, is, basically I'm like a soft heart. And when the sidewalk in front of the old folks home there on 2nd Street didn't happen, I was like, but wait, they promised. And so, it's stuff like that. It's, the second bridge, which never happened because it gives people access to, a little wider part of Ned. And so, I'm a big fan of just kind of maybe putting little teeny signs out, maybe downtown, like teeny signs, the local hiking trails and biking trails. And, I think that, the whole Barker Meadows Park is just way, way, way underutilized. And, there's tons of things that can be done there. And so, that's kind of the reason I'd like to get involved. I'm still interested in local jobs, and I don't know if there is such a thing as affordable housing in that anymore. I mean, there used to be, but, it has to be on both sides of the fence, and finally for Claudia's comment, and I'll say this and then I'll shut up. There's like, yes, some of us still remember very well the Burma shave signs. And even the FM light signs, as you go into Ned and they had those, and there's less and less of the FM and light signs into steamboat years, but we can easily do something like that. And, I'm a big fan, and you guys are going to, you guys are not going to even remotely put up with me. I'm a big fan about it's easier to steal watermelons and ask forgiveness than it is to ask for a watermelon. So why couldn't we put up some simple little signs along the side of the road, with, saying, hey, listen, wear a mask, let's protect your mother or whatever. So anyway, that's my spiel. Actually, I don't really have a spiel, but that's me, and that's it, a story. So, I'm definitely a people person, a go-getter, but, I'm basically an old hippie. That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Maria, were you still going to leave this one?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's for if the DDA has questions.
Yeah.
Or Ron?
I have a quick question for Ron. Ron, where do you live, and what is your business in town then? Or...
Well, I still have my, federal license, my Colorado license. And I'm trying to leave medicine, but the problem is that I'm obsessed with it. I love it. So a few years ago, I decided to do a farm because I originally grew up on a farm in Wisconsin. So I have a little farm out on J Road. It's in the 6900 block, and just finished building what I think is the most beautiful arched roof, post and beam, mortise and tenon, huge barn with like absolutely no metal in it whatsoever. The whole thing's put together with wooden pegs. And I raise hay, and I started an apple orchard. So I now have 78 trees, and I sell hay, and that's what I do. I can't say I make a living at it. I lose lots of money being a farmer. And, there was a reason all of our grandfathers moved from Michigan and Wisconsin into Detroit to have Dairy Queens, because it makes more sense to have a Dairy Queen in Cincinnati or Detroit than. Anyway, so that's what I do. So I'm officially a farmer / physician, but I can't do this anymore. I can't throw bales of hay around anymore.
And the property that you still own, the little property in Ned that you purchased, is that?
Yeah, from Rich and Donna.
Okay.
I have a question for you, Ron. This is Steve. I was wondering, which of the projects that, if you've read about for our master plan, the 2017 master plan, what are the projects that you're most interested in that are, discussed in that?
I think the whole Barker Meadows thing is an under-focused issue. And, then, there's the other side, which is a little bit more nebulous, and that's that, how do you provide local jobs? Everybody that I know lives in Ned, not everybody, but a lot of people, they go to town. I think you need something in between. So, there's that. And I think the second bridge has never happened. I don't know why, and so I'm not sure those are my main ones, but those are the ones which come to mind right off the top of my head.
Okay, well, thanks for that.
So are there other questions?
No, not for me. Not for me.
Okay.
I've
sure.
But I also think that it'd be great if we could somehow, throw in a local hiking trail signs, bike trail signs. So, after they come back from their mountain biking, they can hang out and get a pizza and a glass of red or brew or something like that. I think there needs to be more focus on getting people to come through Ned, kind of like the whole Steamboat or Breck approach, that they come to play in the hills and then pass through Ned on the way out to support the local, their local restaurants and breweries and corner shops and stuff. Anyway, that's just my take.
Thanks, Ron.
Yeah.
Well, in terms of so are there any other questions from the DDA for Ron before I move forward?
No, for clarity, Ron, did you say you're if you got this term, you'd be good for 3 to 4 years, and then that would be it?
No, I'm saying that in 3 to 4 years, I don't think I'm strong enough to be throwing hay bales around. So the idea is I want to retire in Ned. I can't do Boulder anymore. I've been here for more than 30 years, and it's just not going to happen. And so I need a place that I want to call home, and I realistically foresee that sometime in the next 3 to 4 years, I'm going to sell the farm here and do something there, in the hills. I'm just not a heat person,
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
No, but I realize this job is for 4 years.
Yeah. Great.
So in terms of the voting for the board, so what we're asking of you is that you email myself and Hope, and if you scroll to the top of the chat, you should see both of our emails. We're asking you that you email who you're choosing between Karina and Ron. Ideally, if you can do it during this meeting, that would be great, so we could potentially announce it before we're done tonight. Otherwise, if we don't receive a vote from everyone, then we would announce it once we've received all those votes. But please just email it to Hope and myself, Miranda. Questions about that?
Not to Steve?
No, don't include Steve. Yeah, we're leaving
Okay.
Steve off for this one and the next voting. We're going to leave Steve off for this one.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want this done right now?
Ideally, if you could, so we could announce it by the end of the meeting. But if you don't have the ability to email it, then just once we receive all the votes, we'll let you guys know who the other board member is.
All right.
If you want to shoot me a text, Ron, you can.
All right. I'll do that.
Okay.
Make sure you include Miranda too.
Yeah.
Ron, I think you've got her phone number too.
Yes, I do.
Hey, Hope, I have a quick question. Did you end up talking to Karina today?
I did talk to Karina today. She said she was unavailable. In the timing of the meeting, I can't believe how quickly we've moved through this. This is awesome. I let her know that we would probably be voting somewhere around 7:30. She said she could potentially make it. She couldn't guarantee.
Okay.
But she really is very interested in joining the board, and she is an active business owner of Salto in Nederland. And she spoke to us last week about her past experience on the DDA board and the reasons why she had to kind of step away because of family issues and an ill parent, and that she is very engaged in the community, and that's kind of evident with what happens at Salto every weekend. There's something going on there.
And I just want to clarify, she's actually the owner of Laughing Mountain, which is the organization that owns Clock Tower, which is the organization that owns Salto and Tin Shed. So her involvement is with both of all four of those organizations. She's a part of each subset.
Okay.
I'm putting in our emails again in case anyone needs it for where to send your votes.
Okay, thank you. Miranda, was there anything more you feel like we need to do on the board appointment for now?
No, I think just that maybe we can just circle back towards the end of the meeting. If we have all the votes, we can announce who the newest member is.
Great. I'll check in on.
Just to clarify, though, it still has to go before the Board of Trustees, as you all know. So on July 21st, they will then complete your appointment with your recommendation.
Yes.
Can I ask a clarifying question? This is Karen.
Yes.
I was under the impression that the DDA bylaws say you have to be a business owner in the district. Is that correct? To be on the board?
It's a business or property.
I think
Say
property
again?
as well.
Okay, so just a property owner or a business owner.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And
Yeah,
I want to. Oh, go ahead, Ron.
The law says the majority have to be either property owners or representatives of property owners, and the rest of the board has to be leasees.
Great.
In order for me to check my emails, I have to stop. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Andrew. Were you saying
Oh, I was just saying, Ron, there was a bit of an echo there.
And I just wanted to share that I need to stop sharing my screen in order to count your votes to see my email. So you won't see the agenda for a few minutes.
Okay. And while Miranda's working on that one, I think we could, first I want to say thank you, Ron, for coming here to talk about yourself and your history and being interested in being on the board. We appreciate that.
Of course, thank you.
For sure. And next on the agenda is the appointment of chair and vice chair, and Hope will lead this one.
Yeah, thank you very much. And thank you very much, everyone, for voting so quickly. That's really great. Thank you for helping Miranda. I really appreciate it. So according to our bylaws, at the June meeting is technically the last meeting for a chair and for the vice chair. They need to be appointed simultaneously. And I can let you know that I believe Steve is interested in being renominated. That is something that we can do. And hopefully this meeting, you've all kind of talked amongst yourselves and come up with some ideas of who you're interested in having as chair and vice chair. And very much like the last vote, if there are people who are going, 2 people or more going for one role, the vote would take place between Miranda and I, if you could send us an email. So, I mean, I've heard a little bit about who's interested. Would the board like to start chatting about this?
So I would open up the way I understand this to go is that one of us has to nominate for the chair position. And I think I would nominate Steve to continue in his role as the chair. I think it's a job that takes a couple of years to figure out. And I think he's done a great job and has been passionate and made the time to make a difference. So I have no problem with him continuing. It's a lot of work, and as I know, and I appreciate that. And so I have no problem, nominating Steve to continue as the chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I have to nominate, I would nominate Brent for vice chair. If he's there you go, Brent.
Payback, Brent.
That's my excited look. Oh.
We're a great board. Come on.
Uh-oh. Perfect timing. I got.
Oh, his bandwidth kind of shut him down. There he goes. Okay, are there any other nominations for the opportunity? Okay. Okay.
That was perfect timing. I just got cut off right when all that happened. I couldn't defend myself.
Defend yourself. I think one of the biggest things for both of these roles is that, it's that commitment to time. And thanks, Steve, for all that you do. And
Thank
thanks
you. Sure.
for offering.
Yeah, thanks. I feel good about it.
So we don't necessarily then need to take a vote unless you feel that we do. Or does this make our board members, or the chair and the vice chair, Steve and Brent?
Hope, I would still recommend, if you're going to do it that way, you still go around and take a vote from each DDA member to confirm whether they do it through email or verbally that they agree.
Okay. Let's just do it through email, just to keep it all on the same board.
And the only question I have is, does that mean that Ron remains the treasurer? We don't have to vote on the treasurer because he's only done that for a couple months, right?
Yes, Ron is still the treasurer.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay,
All right.
great.
Yeah. Perfect. So if people are emailing, I was hoping we could maybe move on with Ron and Andrew about the parking on Big Springs recommendation.
Yes.
Yeah. Lot going on there. Ron, would you like to start?
Sure. Andrew and I had just 3 weeks to really work on this, so we put a lot of effort and a lot of time on it. And what we determined was that the study that was done by JVA had 3 elements to it, and we liked the third one, which was doing the parallel or perpendicular parking on Big Springs. The reason we didn't see it was worth doing 1 and 2 had a couple of reasons. First, on Lakeview, There's some ecological concerns. Traffic patterns might want to be studied a little deeper, and so we didn't do that one. The reason that we didn't do the one on Conger is that if a new bridge does appear there, or there is potential for it to appear, it would not be a good idea to do a lot of infrastructure work there and then maybe have to tear it all out 3 or 4 years later. We met with TIBA's representative, if you read the things here, and we also talked with the JVA chap, Nathan, and he very graciously revised the drawings to what you see in the record here to show the perpendicular parking, and we went over his budget also. There is a disclaimer at the bottom of his opinion of probable cost that says that it doesn't include permits, fees, and things like that. So we did a little bit more, not a little bit, quite a bit more study in depth, and revised it upward because we think 2 things. First, there are some additional things that will need to be done that weren't included in Nathan's study. And the second was that we definitely feel we need a survey to make sure we get whatever we do in the right place. So the survey is a fixed cost. We know what it'll be. The county surveyor gave us an estimate of $3,000. And then the difference between the $187,333.75 is about $25,000. So this, again, if you read this disclaimer, is a guess. This is what we think it's going to be. It could be more, it could be less, but we think we're fairly accurate. We did a lot of study on it, and we hope that you will pass this and forward it on to the board, and we're ready for questions. And Andrew, if you have any, if you want to add things, well, certainly go ahead.
Yeah, well, as far as like part, you know, you said parking free, so I just want to make clear what parking plan we're talking about, which is perpendicular parking, not angled parking. So we and of JVA and Stephanie, and we believe that there is enough space to accommodate perpendicular parking in front of the Black Forest. And kind of, you know, one of the things that we know that we need to do as the town is to provide concrete stormwater drainage. And the best place that it seemed to break. So if you're looking at some of the red lines, I'm not sure which exhibits you're looking at, but if I would open up the exhibit 2 with red line, I think that is probably the most accurate thing that Ron and I are talking about. Exhibit 2 with red lines. So we are forecasting, you know, future development to the east, where we've got a bioswale, and then that will turn into a concrete culvert in front of Steve's undeveloped lot. That's underground. That goes underground, and then we've got that continuing all the way west to basically 119, and the goal here is to you know, present. You know, we acknowledge town is not an island, and working with TIBA is important, and to try to get you know, our drainage house in order, as well as our sidewalks in order, and let him deal with retaining. That's So as far as the costs of the plans, Ron and I think that, as far as most bang for the buck, this is the most bang for the buck, and also would accommodate future development to the east on Big Springs.
Andrew, this is Steve. Could I ask, do you know what the net gain of parking spaces for this project would be?
I think we were at around 19 spots. Is that correct? And I'm going off I need to look back at the count. But I think we're looking at 19. It's either 18 or 19. Does that sound right? I gotta zoom in and actually count these.
Well, the JV.
The drawing says 34.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that's what Ron.
I think you
approximately
lost
said to me.
Ron.
Okay, I think that the drawing says 34 for the parking count.
Right, but what
Yeah,
was
when
it?
you count the spots, it looks like it's under, but I think in the original plan it was 34. I think they could have cut out a little when they, if you look to the left of that top visual, there's the curve or the turn, and that was not in the initial picture.
Right.
Yeah, those were not in the initial picture.
There has been some talk. Granted, this would involve CDOT, which we didn't necessarily. We know we were trying to do everything we can to avoid CDOT at this point, but also have the dialogue with TIBO regarding, potential. Would he be willing to give up a couple of feet of his property to create a right-hand turning lane so that we can have basically a right-hand turning lane and then a straight / left turning lane going west of Big Springs. So I think that's the kind of our thought is that, realizing that dealing with CDOT may take years, but at the very least, what we can do is establish the perpendicular parking, the sidewalk, the pedestrian rights of way, and the retaining walls. Get the storm pipe in. I've run the JVA numbers by a separate private water infrastructure contractor who agreed that they were in line and nothing seemed out of line. But there was we did want to add money for the survey and for some contingency. So we feel good about the proposed budget, and we feel like this is a great way to handle building the parking infrastructure, Big Springs, creating the potential for a right-hand turning lane and a left-hand and straight turning lane on Big Springs that doesn't yet have to involve CDOT. And again, this would be a future conversation with TIBO, but this red line plan is what Ron and I believe is in the best interest of the town.
Can I just speak for just a second? Chris Pelletier couldn't be here tonight, so I asked him to look at the plan and give me his input. And so he said, thank you very much. He had asked for perpendicular parking, so he's very much in support of that. He did say, though, that this is the first that he's actually seen this plan. And that he just wanted to know if you guys were going to bring it back to him and just ask for formal staff input. He also strongly supports the need for a survey. So that's all Chris wanted to make sure I shared with you.
And
Right.
just for further information, if you look up, it is the second bullet down. That's the original exhibit. The second image within that link is the exhibit number 2 that was modified and redlined. When the town administrator took the time with the public works and manager, they were looking at this exhibit, the original one. Another
So-
meeting happened after that where there was discussions, a little bit more discussions with
Right.
Stephanie Worth.
And we knew it was happening and neither Chris or I could make it. So the only thing Chris is asking is the intention to share this with town staff to get their input before you bring it to the Board of Trustees?
Well, we could make it contingent. Certainly, we want to do that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry
Okay.
he couldn't make the last meeting. I did call Chris once and left a voicemail, but he must have been busy and couldn't get back to me. So.
Yeah, it's been, he's very understaffed and this is go time for him. And I know that when you scheduled JBA, I couldn't make it either. I had another meeting. So it's certainly understandable. He's just recommending that you do share this with staff to get official input.
Sure. We'd love to do it as soon as possible. Anytime I'm free the whole week or the rest of it.
Okay.
Okay, well, you guys can schedule that outside of this meeting.
Right.
Yeah, why don't you do that offline? Andrew or Ron, if I could ask a question about the design, did your costing account for that right-hand turn lane off of Big Springs, or would that be an additional?
No.
No.
Okay.
That's a separate thing that could take 2 or 3 years to go through CDOT's process.
Okay.
The minute we put anything into the right of way of CDOT, they're involved big time.
Okay, yeah, I understand.
And one other thing, Steve, that that will come up is that there could be potentially more parking spots if the hub and Black Forest came to an agreement on ingress and egress parking. So because currently you've got, the hub and the Black Forest have their own ingress and egress, and I realize this is this was a whole separate another can of worms, but there could be more parking spots if there was a joint easement parking agreement, but something to think about.
Yeah, and I wanted to comment on that because I did talk to Stephanie. She reached out to me about that, and both of us are really in favor of doing that if there is a good way to do it, that satisfies both of us as property owners and the town. So I think we're definitely on board with trying to do that and share egress. Instead of having 4 lanes, we could drop down to 2 lanes coming and going out of our 2 parking lots. So I think that's a real thing that we could work out and allow the town to have more parking space in front of our 2 buildings.
You probably would pick up 3 spaces and possibly 4 if you did that, and you would eliminate what I consider a real hazard by having that storm drain right between the 2 driveways. Now that's a real hazard.
Sure. Great.
So it sounds to me like you've got a pretty good plan, and I think if you work with Chris and the town just to dial that in a little bit and have the town's eyes on it, I'm pretty comfortable with continuing to advance the ball. That makes sense.
Yeah.
I think that there was a hope that they could request funding I know that in our, there's a draft resolution at the bottom of the page. Should we hold that off for another BOT meeting and not the next one?
I would hope that we could vote on it because Tebow's anxious to get this project done before snow falls, and that would delay it if we could vote on it, and contingent on getting town input and any tweaks that they feel need to be done that we haven't caught. We could certainly incorporate in the plan. I don't think it would change the budget at all. And one of the things I'll just tell you that I would like to discuss with Chris Peltier is the fact that in the plan they are 2-foot drain boxes, and I would like to make them 4-foot. And I think we could do it with our budget because they're easier to clean, but it does. I want to know what he thinks about that.
Sure.
Which is kind of a technical issue for most people, but nevertheless, he's had experience with that and would know. So that's one item I definitely want to discuss with him. But I don't see any reason why we couldn't vote on it. That's a minor issue compared to taking this thing forward to the Board of Trustees. So I think we could.
And Ron, could you clarify for what the question is in front of the board?
You broke up, Steve. Would you repeat, please?
Yes. Could you clarify what the action is that you're asking the board to take tonight?
Approve the draft resolution for forwarding to the Board of Trustees that is in the packet.
Well, the NDDA is supposed to agree with the recommendation, or they can agree with the recommendation of the committee to choose exhibit number 2, and that will satisfy the Board of Trustees request for us to choose one of the project exhibits. The second is the budget is for $200,000, and the committee is asking for $25,000 in addition to the $200,000 that we budgeted for the project. So, does the board approve of the recommendation number 2, of the exhibit number 2, and then does the board approve to engage $225,000 for the completion of this project?
Well, let me just jump in here, Hope. Because I feel like, JVA has been working with us. So are you, when we go back to, exhibit number 2, it's talking about angled parking on Big Springs. And I think that both Ron and I are saying that, this is the red line version, parking exhibit 21.20C is what we're pushing. I feel like JVA gave 3 options, none of which we're advocating.
Oh, see, I thought the second exhibit number 2 was the one that I thought that you had taken and then amended that and redlined that one. So you looked at number 2 and said, this is closest to what we want. Yes. And then you did your red line on it because then you were asked to base your budget on the details that were given for exhibit number 2, subtracting or adding the other additional funding that you saw would go with that project.
Yes. So then I'm in agreement. And I think the survey, just knowing how long it takes get on a surveyor's radar for Ron's and my desire to get this project going, and knowing how busy everyone is in the construction world is the impetus of like, let's just try to get on a surveyor's schedule.
Sure. Well, when we presented in the resolution to engage those funds with the Board of Trustees, they're going to want a budget associated with it. So I created that and added that to the agenda right there. And what I did was I linked in JVA's cost plus the $25,000 that was for survey and concrete pouring, from my understanding. And that's the funding for that. So because the budget has to go to the Board of Trustees.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, your resolution says 215,000 on the second page, third paragraph.
Yeah, because
Doesn't say
187
220.
plus 25 is
212.
212
Right, plus
So,
3
yeah.
for survey.
plus 3 for survey. Okay, I'll add that in there at the second. Oh yeah, survey and concrete pouring. So concrete pouring is 25,000, and then the survey is another 3.
No, it's broader than that. There's no the concrete pipe has to be bedded, and there's a material called squeegee, and that didn't appear to be, or maybe was included in, but the budget that JVA presented was not as detailed as we wanted as we were analyzing it. So it would be a variety of things, including some concrete, but it's bigger drain boxes and it's bedding for the. So there's several things in there that we discussed that
Okay.
I know people listening probably have no idea what we're talking about, and I could, and we don't have the time in this meeting to explain those details.
Sorry, no, I'm just going to add them into the budget. So when the board asks what's the additional 25,000 for, we can say survey concrete, bigger drain boxes, and that kind of thing.
And
Well, there's another item, for example, in addition to what I've told you, I know that Chris Peltier would probably want 7 inches of asphalt as opposed to 6. And JVA has put 6 in there, but most of the jobs, and I think that's a good idea, because you're going to have a lot of weight on that concrete pipe with people pulling in with their, the majority of the weight. If they head in, there's more weight on the front wheels, and if they back in, there's less, but there's still off and on again. And if it isn't well compacted and thick enough, then you're going to end up with repair bills. So I concur with him on having 7 inches rather than 6. And I think that's, as I said, one thing I think he's going to recommend when we talk to him. But again, we still can get it within this budget.
yeah, I would say we tried to be conservative in the.
But I really hope we can vote on that for forwarding it, take this resolution and forward it to the Board of Trustees for the next meeting. And we certainly will attend and answer any questions they have. And I'm sure Chris Peltier will be there, and they'll want his endorsement too.
And Chris just texted me, Ron, Chris just texted me, and he said he would reach out to you to set up a time to meet this week.
Okay.
Can I make a motion to move this on?
Yes. Yeah, if somebody could make a motion for what we're voting on, that'd be helpful.
Well, I move that we forward the resolution as presented to the Board of Trustees for approval for the $215,000 budget.
A second that.
I second.
Great. Okay. Let me call. Okay. Brent Tregaskis,
Yes.
Claudia Schaffler,
Yes.
Barb Hart,
She is having technical difficulty and she's not able to call in right now or get on.
No, she should be. I called her through my phone. So I think she's there. Barb, can you?
Oh, okay. I just got an email from her saying she couldn't.
Yeah, I called her after I got that.
Okay.
Barb, you might be muted on your phone, so maybe you can, or maybe she can text me. Barb, she's texting me. Hold on.
Okay. Steve
Come back
Cara,
to her, Hope, if you want.
Yes.
Andrew Duarte,
Yes.
Jonathan Baumhover.
Yes.
Okay.
And Barb's vote is yes.
Thank you. Unanimously approved.
Don't I get to vote?
No. Yes, Ron Mitchell.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ron.
Now,
Okay.
Ron, was there another part of this that you were looking for in order to approve an RFP to go out? But would that wait until after the BOT approval of the resolution?
Yeah. Well, we don't want to start, if the BOT disapproves, I don't want to start, well, I will start the RFP because I think we're 100% majority, and I think so Andrew and I will start working on the RFP. But I don't know, I suppose we could present it. What's the wishes of the board? Do you want us to work on an RFP and present that along with the resolution?
Should the RFP come before the NDDA board first?
No, I don't think so.
Well, my comment is I feel pretty confident in Andrew and Ron's, abilities in this matter, and I personally feel okay having them prepare an RFP. I think Andrew probably has done a lot of those, and probably Ron as well.
Yeah.
But that's just my comment in the discussion.
My suggestion is, if the board's comfortable, we make a motion and we move forward with a vote to give Ron Mitchell and Andrew Dewitt the power to write up an RFP to present along with the resolution to the BOT at the next BOT meeting. That way.
And I also feel that Chris Peltier has a lot of experience with contractors and this sort of thing. I would definitely look to him to help us with that if he could spare the time. I know, Sharon, you said he's really busy, but
we need Chris involved in it.
So then basically I motion to empower Andrew Dewitt and Ron Mitchell to work with town staff to draft an RFP to be presented to the BOT along with this aforementioned resolution that we just voted on.
I second that.
Okay.
Yes.
So shall we call for Jonathan?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Barb Hart.
Yes.
Claudia Schaffler.
Yes.
Ron Mitchell.
yes.
Brent Chergaskis.
Yes.
Andrew Duarte.
Yes.
And Steve Caro.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Great. Thanks, you guys, for that effort. I know you're put in. I was on a few calls with you along the way, and with Ron at least, and I appreciate all the effort you put into that.
Yeah.
Next up is a Hope. Can you do this one? The motion to approve check signers. I wasn't sure of what that was.
Yeah. And it's just really easy. We just need to confirm our check signers officially in minutes so that we can provide those minutes to Carrie Jo at Citywide Bank so that we have the check signers. So far, the check signers on our account that I need to add to this list are Claudia, Karen Garrity, the town administrator, myself, and we'd like to add Steve Caro, as well as Ron Mitchell.
Second that motion.
Then that means any two of that group. Is that correct?
Well, I think we've already discussed in the past that the bylaws talk about the treasurer and the executive director signing, but in the event that they're not available, that the town administrator, Steve Caro, Claudia Schaffler can also sign.
That's fine.
But we have two signatures.
Yes, that's
Thank
two
you.
signatures on one check.
Yeah.
Any two signatures.
Well, like I said, the goal is through the bylaws that the executive director and the treasurer sign, and then in the absence, the other folks can sign as well.
Right. it would be rare that the treasurer or the executive director would both be missing, but you never know. And that's why I would like to see the resolution read any two.
Okay. Great. Does anybody not want to be a signer? Is everybody okay still with their signing roles? Claudia, Karen?
I'm fine.
Thank you.
Fine.
Fine.
Great. So we just need someone to second the motion.
Second.
Thank you. Brent Trigaskis,
Yes.
Steve Caro,
Yes.
Jonathan Baumhover,
Yes.
Claudia Schaffler,
Yes.
Andrew DeWart,
Yes.
Barb Hart.
Yes. Yes.
Great. I think I got everybody.
Not me.
Oh, Ron Mitchell.
Yes.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Okay, thanks everybody.
Before we continue on, I just want to say, Ron, if you could just really quickly text who you're voting for chair and vice chair, or confirmation of your vote. That's the only person we're waiting for.
All right, thought I did. Sorry.
You may have sent it to Hope. If you'll send it to me too, that'd be lovely.
Okay, I will.
All right, next up is our informational items, and we'll try to keep these to 3 minutes or less. The first up is the chair report, and I felt really bad at the Mark Stringfellow's last meeting that I didn't publicly thank him for all the several years of really hard work and long hours that he had put in for the DDA. I really felt that that was a big omission on our part as the chair. So I apologize to Mark, and I just wanted to publicly acknowledge the appreciation that the board has for all the work that he did put in over the years. And we understand that, you know, he's really busy and couldn't continue, but we just really appreciate all the work that he had done. And really, that was all that I wanted to say on my report.
Great. I'm just reopening mine.
Okay, great. Yeah.
So mine I'll go through fairly quickly as well, but Ron and I have been working together and looking at different interest rates from banks. It seems like the interest rates for some of the banks have dropped drastically, meaning that currently on our money market accounts, we're getting 0.01%. That speaks to where we used to get $550 a month in interest on our TIF account. We are now getting $60 a month. We have funds that are unencumbered. They are not budgeted to be used in this current year. I would highly suggest, and I'm working with Ron, to look for a bank that has certificate of deposits that we can put the funds in for 3 or 6 months, but right even before we're doing our budget, so that we can start making some earning some interest on them. So I gave an example at the top for Elevations Bank and Citywide banks. What's going on? Carrie Jo mentioned that something about the federal government was dropping interest rates in a lot of banks, and the Citywide Bank, that was their CDs, which are usually, you know, fairly high. So I really just wanted to let the board know that, so that I was being transparent about the funding. I talked about this also with our accountant, who is the town accountant, and she's in agreement that we do need to move our funds to higher interest bearing accounts. So if you have any questions, please let me know. To this day, as of July 3rd, we have offered $83,045.28 in stopgap funding. We received a really nice thank you card from Peak to Peak Counseling. And again, I'd like to continue to thank Miranda and the town and everyone who was involved to make this go through. Lastly, the budget spreadsheet, one of the things that I let the town accountant know that I would show you is in one of the tabs that says personnel. Personnel will show you how much I'm being paid and how many hours I'm spending in each project thus far, from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. I separated total operation hours out, and that is in the last column, column N. So this budget is really all of the projects that we have going on. It is an offer of transparency to everyone, and so that everyone feels very comfortable about where, how, when, and why money is being spent. And if you have any questions, you're always welcome to call me or contact Ron or our town accountant. And then lastly, or two things lastly, the DOLA grant was, I just got a message that it was accepted and they're reviewing it now, and they will let it get back to us in the near future about what, if we'll get the funding. As a reminder, I requested $157,000, $100,000 to cover what the DDA has put out so far in stopgap funding, and 50 to cover any other potential funding we might want to use towards COVID, and 7,000. I think that included like the consultation that I provided some business owners who contacted me. There is a spreadsheet as well in the budget that I just showed you. And then lastly, I sent around earlier this afternoon an email, which I can't find at the moment, but it's basically a rural grant focusing on businesses and economic development. And it'd be awesome if you can look at that. And if you had any great ideas on different funds or monies that you would be interested in applying for through this grant, that would be great. The grant is due August 11th. I say, give me at least a week or two to actually put all the information together to fill out that grant and send it out. So the sooner you can talk to me, the better. I think otherwise, I'd really like to ask if I could just start, if you don't have time, brainstorming some ideas, because I really feel like letting an opportunity like this go by would be a shame. So any thoughts on that? Yes.
What was that grant again?
It's called the Ready Grant. Let's see. And I sent it to you earlier this afternoon. I want to say sometime. Here it is. It's called the NOFA Ready Grant. And I sent it to you this afternoon at 11:32 in the morning, actually.
Okay.
And so the grant, you can have projects in job creation and retention, capacity building, economic resilience, and supports entrepreneurial ecosystems. And when I saw that aspect of the grant, I immediately thought of some of the great organizations in town, like the Women's Business Group run by Eileen Purdy. I also thought about Net2Go. I thought about Kay and the Nederland magazine that she has that's drawing people up to the area. So maybe you know other people who are providing trainings or networking opportunities and infrastructure for local businesses. If you know that, we can start seeking money for them through this grant. So I'd love to apply for it. I love grant writing. And so please, if you have any ideas, please let me know.
Okay, thank you.
Did everybody see it? Did anybody not get that email?
I did not receive it, Hope. I was just searching my inbox.
Okay,
I did not see it.
Okay, I'm going to forward it again right now, and I'm forwarding it through the DDA website. I mean, the DDA email.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. I'm sending it right now.
Okay, thanks.
Right,
thanks for that report. Ron, do you have anything for a treasurer's report?
No, because of the COVID thing, I haven't had a chance to even look at the books and the check statements. I did approach an accounting firm for bookkeeping services for us in the event we want to maybe change that with Jen leaving. I'm not sure just exactly where we're going to end up with our accounting and bookkeeping and financial analysis. So I talked to Eugene. I'm getting an echo. It's terrible. I hope you can all hear me. I talked to Eugene Delisandro for a while, and I didn't come to any conclusions. I just wanted to explore. So that's about all I've done as far as Treasurer's report is concerned. Everything that you got in the packet. Hello.
Ron, this is Karen. I just want you to know that the way we've advertised for this position for the town treasurer is to take over and still do the accounting for the DDA. I mean, that being said, if you all decided to go a different route, that's fine. But I just wanted you to know that the people we're interviewing, we are including that as part of the position.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as my involvement at this point, I've had none.
Well, I've sent you reports, but you can't print them out.
Yes.
What was that, Hope?
Oh. I mean, I have showed Ron all of the information. He's just unable to print it out. So we're working that out.
Okay.
And then we're,
Did Jen send you the, I thought she was going to send you the financial report up through June.
Yes, and it's amazing. It's in our warrants. That's why it's called warrants and financials.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So
that's really everything.
So normally you will have it under warrants and you won't have it as part of the treasurer's report then? I'm just trying to understand.
Well, she had just sent it over all in one document. And I said, let's just go ahead and stick it in as warrants and financials. Because it's a great document because it breaks down how much we've spent on past projects, how much is left over, and then it gives us the our next step when we start looking at our budget. Hopefully we start doing that the end of August, September at the latest. But we can see how much money do we have left over, say from a project, and do we bring that into the current budget, or do we return that to TIF funds?
Okay. Well, Ron, thanks for that treasurer's report. And next up, we have Karen with the town administrator's report.
So basically, we are still in the safer at home order. And because of the resurgence of the pandemic in Boulder County, it is very unlikely that the Boulder County Health Department is going to apply for a certification to shift into the protect our neighbor level. They have to go 14 days with decreasing numbers, and they have to show that they have enough hospital spaces and equipment and testing and tracing and that sort of thing in place. And the county does not feel they're there yet. So it's likely we're going to be safer at home for quite some time. As you all talked, the Boulder County did extend their mask order indefinitely until further notice. And they also tightened up both at the state and county level, wearing masks in public facilities. So as we are starting to open up our facilities, our recovery and resiliency team is working on that. We have opened up town hall 2 days a week, and we'll be wearing masks when we're working with the public. We'll be requiring that they wear them as well. We are looking at opening up potentially the community center a couple days a week, potentially in the first week of August. We are taking that very cautiously though, due to the population that is served in that building. As most of you know, the seniors are housed there and food is prepared there. So we're kind of taking it, we're taking it a very slow, methodical approach to it. The Board of Trustees last night did approve a resolution which allowed and authorized the mayor to sign off on an agreement with the county on how the municipalities within Boulder County and Boulder County are sharing the CARES Act funds. It will result in about $69,000 coming to the town of Nederland. We'll be able to use that money to reimburse for expenses COVID related, such as our legal fees and whatnot, that were not budgeted because of course we didn't know about the pandemic. So that's good news. And we did opt in. Yesterday was the deadline and we opted in yesterday, and we were able to share this agreement, which was a part of the requirement under DOLA for municipalities. Counties had to agree on how they were going to share their pot of the money. And then Miranda, do you want to talk about the town cleanup day?
Yeah, so the town cleanup day has officially been committed to Saturday, August 1st from 8 a.m. to noon or until the dumpsters fill up. We're going to have a lot more information we're going to release on Friday about like the map and what's being accepted. But we're really excited to have this. I know normally it happens in June, and so it was postponed just for COVID, but our committee has spent a lot of time determining ways to practice social distancing while also having this event. So more information to come, but we are asking that members of the CDA sign up to participate as volunteers. We have a volunteer sign up sheet on our website that I will email out. But we'd love to have people out there helping us either at a station or helping to direct people so they know how to move through the event. So I'll send out an email with that information. The mayor recently signed a proclamation declaring July 25th High School Graduate Recognition Day. They are going to have the high school graduation. And Karen, correct me if I'm wrong, it's split into the two sections, right? Like one morning or early afternoon.
Yeah.
So we're going to have the mayor read a proclamation, which we'll post on our website and social media. And then he's also writing a letter to each high school graduate that'll be specific to them. And then the last thing is also on June 16th, the Board of Trustees passed Resolution 2020, which is declaring without qualification or reservation that Black Lives Matter. So it's really just a way for our community to really learn and listen to Black experiences and actively work on integrating Black voices into our community. So I know Trustee Coombs, Ismail, and Karen met today and spoke about a variety of different ways in which we can ensure that Black voices are really heard and that they are represented, especially as we move into Envision 2030. And that's our report.
Okay, thank you.
Good job.
That sounds great. Yeah. Let's see that. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, that last one is the electrical box update. I don't know if Ron or Andrew has one on that. I just wanted to follow up because I know that the shed was built, or I'm not sure if it's finished or not.
I can provide an update from Chris Pelletier if you guys can't.
I was kind of left out of that. I think Mark and Chris headed that up, and so I wasn't involved in the execution of that. I can't speak to that.
Would you like me to give an update?
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. So as far as I understand, the shed is still under construction, but almost done. The town did contract with an electrician, and they've begun their work. Some parts are several weeks out though on the order, and so they're hoping for completion likely at the end of August. And then Jonathan, Chris thought if there was anything else that you might want to add, you could.
Yeah, I was going to say I believe there's just some soffit and some roofing that still needs to be completed. It's mostly been a volunteer project with a lot of members of the Presbyterian Church and Mark and myself and a few other folks, Jim Reese. So there, I believe, is probably going to be one last Saturday, but we got it to the point where the electrician is running the wires. So.
Great, thanks.
All right. Well, thank you. And is there any other business that we need to hit or now?
Yeah, I have one more Vermicelli poem. Stop at Ned's for a quick repast. Stores are open for sales at last. Protect yourself and us with a mask.
I love it.
That's
Steve, I
love
have
that.
the results from our voting.
Oh, great. Sure.
So I'll just start with chair and vice chair. The board was in unanimous agreement that Steve, you will be reappointed into the chair, and Brent, you will be appointed to the vice chair. So congratulations.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then in terms of the appointment to the vacancy, the votes were 4 for Ron and 3 for Karina. So we will move forward with bringing before the board your recommendation that Ron be appointed to the DDA vacancy. So congratulations, Ron. And Ron, what that means is we'll ask you to come to the BOT meeting on July 21st. I'll send you more details about that, but that way if they have questions, they can talk with you. Ultimately, it is their decision, but they do take the DDA's recommendation with some heavy weight.
All right. Congratulations.
I just have a quick, real last one. Jess Ansari from ProSAP had reached out to let us know that, she's very interested in the DDA's engagement with them as they work on the Gercio and the field, Barker Park. So I suggested that there's a lot of our board members are very busy. So we're trying to figure out alternative ways to keep each other in touch. And that's it.
Great. All right. Well, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Yes, second.
All right. We're meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Have a good night.
You too.